Hi guys, and welcome to Stats Online. So today we're going to look at the z-score. We're also going to look at percentiles, which is very cool to interpret, and we're going to get started right away. So some important ideas for the lesson for today is that percentile. So when we're looking at a percentile, it is the percentage of values that are less than the data. So like our Q1 would be at 25 percentile. The median would be at the 50th percentile. The Q3 is at the 75th percentile. And I like to think about percentiles in like the medical field, where like a brand new baby is born and they weigh the baby and they say, oh, your baby weighs 10 pounds. They're at the 50th percentile. And so that's used in many different forms. And then the z-score today, which is pretty important and exciting, and I love the z-score, is the number of standard deviations away from the mean. Okay, so hopefully you've paused this video and wrote and taken good notes. That's really important when trying to learn all of this new language, all of this new concepts. So even though you're just watching the videos and you get it short term, I want you to take away long-term learning with statistics. And so doing that is to create this beautiful notebook where you're actually writing it down and listening. So I hope that you're doing that. It is of your benefit. Okay, so let's take a look at this graph here. And this graph is just a pure example of like percentiles. So the age at inauguration. So we got elections, and if you take a look at 70 is at 100%. And so you wouldn't read this to say if they were 70, like it's at 100. You need to think about it as 70 years old, 100% of the presidents were inaugurated before they were 70. That makes sense. So you take a look at what percentile were the presidents at of age of 55. So you could go to 55 and look at here and draw it over, and that would tell you the percentile in which the presidents were 55 when they took office. So you'll want to start to get into the habit of drawing something like this. So maybe 50%, the 50th percentile would be when presidents are inaugurated at that age. So that's an example of percentiles. Okay, so in our lesson as well, let's go ahead and do an activity on how did Marty do on his quiz. Make sure that you have this printed off, of course, or I mean, if you have it up as you're watching this video, it's very helpful. Okay, so the question is, how did Marty do in his intro stats quiz and relative to his peers? So below are all of the recent stats scores in percent form, and very nicely, they're written from least to greatest. So it does tell us that the mean is 80, cool, and the standard deviation is 10. So, you know, the average is 80, give or take 10. 10%. All right, so Biff, cool name, he scored 60 on the quiz. What percentage of the scores were less than 60? Well, we have a total of 20 scores in the class, so how many of them were less than 60? So we would say of the 60, looks like there were 3, and so 3 students, 1, 2, and 3, 3 test scores were below 60, so oh, not 60, 3 out of 20. Sorry about that, guys. There are 20 people in the class, 20 test scores. 3 test scores out of those 20 scored less than 60. And so therefore, that would be 0.15 or 15%. So 15% of the students scored less than 60. Okay, so Marty scored a 90 on his quiz. So what percentage of the scores were less than 90? Well, here's our 90. We do not include 90 because it says less than, so it looks like it is 18 out of 20. And 18 out of 20 is 0.90, which is 90%. Now, how far away from the mean is Biff's score of 60, and in what direction? So if Biff's score is 60, the mean is 80. So Biff's score is 20, right? 20 away from the mean, and it is in the like the left direction, basically. So it's 20 away, 20 less than. All right, so here's the question. How many standard deviations is 60 away from the mean? So if the mean is 80 and it's 20 away and the standard deviations is 10, that means it's 2, right? So we have 20 over 10 is 2 standard deviations. Now that is very cool because that is our z-score. So our z-score, remember, our z-score going back is how many standard deviations we are from the mean. So if the standard deviation is 10 and Biff is 20 away from the mean, that means he's 2 standard deviations away. So we would also say that that z-score is a -2. Now why negative? Because it's less than. It's 60, so it's less than 80, so it's 2 in the left direction. So we would say z equals -2. All right, let's continue on. How far away from the mean is Marty's score of 90? Well, if the mean is 80 and Marty's score is 90, then that means that he is 10 away. And in what direction? Well, he is going above the mean. And he went above the mean by how many? He went by 10 away, and that is 1 standard deviation. And so we would say for B, which we just answered it, how many standard deviations is 90 away from the mean? Mean's 80, he got a 90, he is 10, so that is 1 standard deviation away. Cool. Okay. How far away is it from the mean is 87? Well, if the mean is 80 and they got 87, that means that they are 7, right? 7 away, and they are 7 above. Now I'm going to go back to B. So if it's 1 standard deviation, then the z-score would be a 1, but it'd be a +1 because it is above, because it's more. The mean is 10, they got 90, so it's 1 standard deviation away, so the z-score is a +1 because it's greater than. So let's take a look at this example then. It's not quite 1 standard deviation, right? It's only 7, and a standard deviation in this case is 10. So we could say that this is 0.7, right? 0.7 standard deviations away. And how would we write that in a z-score? Well, we would say that a z it's definitely going to be in the plus direction because it's greater than, but it's going to be 0.7, not quite 1 standard deviation away. Oh, and I already wrote that for here. I just got going. Sorry, guys. I just got really excited. I really literally just answered B all into A. So I'm so sorry. So how many standard deviations is it? It's 0.7 standard deviations. And we would write that the Z is plus 0.7. Okay, so I really didn't need to write that twice. I don't even know why I wrote that twice. It's a long day today. Because I already have the arrows. Okay, I don't know why I just erased the arrows. Oh my goodness. Okay, so this answers this. These are the 2 answers. So go to B for those 2. Okay, let's write down for the z-score. Let's write down that it is the value minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. And a lot of times you're going to see it written really fancy, like z equals x minus x bar, right? X bar is mean, over s sub x, and s sub x is a fancy way to say standard deviation. Whew, okay, So I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. This is the last lesson of the unit, and I hope you guys are really enjoying stats, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.